And fresh off his summit with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, President Trump is now raising doubts about decades-long United States military support for Taiwan, suggesting in an interview with Fox News late last week that a potential multi-billion-dollar weapons sale with the island could be used as a, quote, negotiating chip with China.
Should the people of Taiwan feel more or less secure after your meetings with President Xi?
Neutral. Neutral.
Has the policy changed at all?
No, nothing's changed.
U.S. policy. But you're waiting on approving billions of dollars of weapons for Taiwan.
That's right.
Is that moving forward?
Well, I haven't approved it yet. We're going to see what happens.
What are you looking for?
I may do it. I may not do it.
Yeah, what's your hinge point?
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I may do it. I may not do it. But we're not looking to have wars. And if you kept it the way it is, I think China's going to be okay with that. But we're not looking to have somebody say, let's go independent because the United States is backing us. You know.
So President Xi probably liked that you haven't approved the weapons to Taiwan.
I would say like is maybe too strong a word because he thinks I could do it with just the signing of my signature, unlike Biden, who couldn't sign his signature. No, I'm holding that in abeyance, and it depends on China. It depends. It's a very good negotiating chip for us, frankly. It's a lot of weapons. It's $12 billion. It's a lot of weapons.
Now, the president's comments are coming on the heels of his talks with Xi in Beijing, where the Chinese leader told Trump that, quote, the Taiwan issue is the most critical issue in China-U.S. relations, warning that if the matter was mishandled, it could put the entire U.S.-China relationship in an extremely dangerous situation. In contrast to his tough talk on Taiwan, the president had no shortage of praise for his Chinese counterpart throughout last week's summit, calling Xi a, quote, great leader and saying, quote, it's an honor to be your friend, and predicting that the two men will have a, quote, fantastic future together. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, meanwhile, tried to clarify the president's remarks, saying in an interview on ABC News yesterday there is, quote, no change in American policy on Taiwan. And House Speaker Mike Johnson also told Fox News yesterday, quote, China cannot just go over and take the land, and we're going to stand strong and resolute by that. I know the Congress will. All right, joining us now is White House correspondent for The Hill, Julia Manchester. All right, Julia, is this the sort of news coverage that the White House was hoping for in the wake of this summit to China, where we're now wondering if the U.S.-Taiwan relationship will hold?
You know, it's interesting. I think going into this summit, a lot of us were wondering if President Trump would get anything out of China when it comes to Iran or any potential trade agreements. And we know that the White House did release some points on trade yesterday, right, saying that there was an opening to U.S. beef and poultry, for example. There's the establishment of this U.S. and Chinese Trade and Investment Commission that will oversee this, et cetera. But instead, the top line really here is Taiwan. And I think it's important to maybe look at this in two different ways. You have Jameson Greer, Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio saying there has been no change in the status quo. It's the status quo, this relationship, right, saying there has been no change. They're being strategically ambiguous on purpose. That's part of the U.S. strategy on this. But it's the arms sale component that is really important here. We know that in December, the Trump administration approved an $11 billion arms sale to Taiwan. But going into this visit, President Trump was under pressure to approve a $14 billion arms sale from Republicans and Democrats. And the big criticism he's fallen under, particularly from Democrats, is he spoke to Xi about the arms sale. President Trump says Xi brought it up. But the issue is that back in the 1980s, during the Reagan administration, there were 6 assurances given from the Americans to the Taiwanese. And one of them was to not talk about arms deals with the Chinese. So that's where he's falling under criticism.
Yeah, slight misstep there. I do want to step back a little bit because in addition to what's happening with Taiwan, obviously we read the statements on Iran, and then there's talk this week about potentially some military action with Cuba. Those are 3 theaters internationally in 3 different parts of the globe, all at a time when, as we noted, economic concerns back at home are paramount. Is there a real tension in the White House that you detect about how so much of the focus is on stuff happening abroad when so much of the political problems are about stuff happening at home?
I think there certainly is tension in Trump world. I mean, late last year, we heard President Trump's, top advisors, including his political director, now political director, saying that we were going to focus on affordability. It was going to be top of mind. Susie Wiles saying she was going to have him campaign like it was 2024 again. However, the president seems laser focused on these foreign policy issues, which, look, if you look back at past presidents, normally in their second term, they are focused on foreign policy. But at the same time, President Trump is running and Republicans are facing a very difficult national environment going into the midterms. You've seen President Trump do some domestic travel, but really, I think so far this year has been defined by foreign policy.
Foreign policy and ballrooms.
That's absolutely, yes.
With respect to the political pain at home and the economic issues at home, President Trump is again defending his comments last week about the financial situations that Americans are facing as a result with the war in Iran.
What extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about American financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all. That's the only thing that motivates.
Now, President Trump told Fox News on Friday that was a perfect statement and that he would make it again. Here's what else he had to say about rising costs.
Very simple. When people hear me say it, everybody agrees. Short-term pain. It's going to be short-term pain. But the pain is much less than people thought, because people thought that the oil would go up to $250. It was $99 yesterday, $99 a barrel. I thought it might go up to $200. I was okay with that. Not that I wanted it, but you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. They will use it on us. They'll start off with Israel, wipe it out. The Middle East, wipe it out. It'll go to Europe. When you tell somebody you're going to have to pay a little more, not that much more, a little more for gasoline for a very short period of time, because we want to stop the threat of being blown to pieces by a lunatic, by a crazy person, and they are crazy, using nuclear weapons. Everybody says that's fine. And that question was a fake question, and they didn't put my full answer. I totally care.
All right. Fake answer, but he stands by it. While the president is dismissing this as short-term pain, the latest economic data shows that the financial squeeze on Americans is very real. Average price of a gallon of gas is $4.51. That's nearly 50 cents higher than a month ago, and over $1.30 more than this time last year. Meanwhile, inflation hit 3.8% last month, rising at the highest rate in 3 years, driven in large part by gas prices. And businesses are also facing higher costs. Key measure watched by economists known as the Producer Price Index had the highest one-month increase since March of 2022. So, Julia, back to you. What do you make of the president's messaging there on Fox? I mean, I actually will say I understood the larger point he was trying to make initially when he made that comment, but then doubling down and just saying, well, people will be willing to pay for these higher prices because they know that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It seems relatively dismissive of what are genuine concerns about rising prices.
From a campaign perspective, if I'm a Democratic ad maker, I'm watching those comments and I am looking to clip each of them to run and tie to Republican incumbent lawmakers or candidates. So I think that certainly creates a risk. The White House has been very consistent in their messaging, saying this is about the safety of global security, the safety of the American people. But at the same time, right now, that's not a top concern for Americans. The economy remains a top concern. So I think that's where President Trump is running into, maybe a wall here when it comes to the economy.
And if anything, they're tying their economic fears to the Iran war increasingly in these public polls. So bit of a problem for them, too. All right, White House correspondent for The Hill, Julia Manchester. Thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. Always hard to do on a Monday morning. I recognize that.